All right, let's do a little review today. Make sure you get your builders done by Friday. Don't forget your test review is due Thursday, and Imagine Math is due Wednesday. So all operations with rational numbers. Don't forget a rational number is a number that can be written as a fraction. That includes decimals. If working on a problem with a mixture of decimals and fractions, it is important to convert the fraction to a decimal. And don't forget, make sure you pause this so you can write this, so you're not trying to play catch up this whole time. Make sure you're pausing it so you can take good notes. If working on a problem with a mixture of decimals and fractions, it is important to convert the fraction to a decimal first. All right, so let's do some review here. Addition, make sure that you line up the decimal. Since the signs are different, we're going to subtract these two. So we're going to subtract them, and then we know our answer is going to be positive because the 16.5 is bigger than the negative 15.25. So we subtract them, and our final answer is going to be a positive 1.25. So don't forget that they're different signs, so we're going to be subtracting these. And then we're going to keep the sign of the one that had, the original one that had a higher absolute value. And in this case, it's 16.5. For the subtraction problem, don't forget to do our tricks. We need to first change it to addition. So it's going to be negative 2.45 plus a negative 8. So remember, we're going to add the opposite. And in this problem, both the signs are negative. So we're going to add 2.45 plus a negative 8. And then we're going to keep the sign. So instead of 10.45, it's going to be negative 10.45 since they both were negative. All right, so multiplication. Don't forget you're counting the digits behind the factors. So you're going to multiply this just like it was like there was no decimal point at all. And after multiplying it, you would get 13,566. But then you're going to look and see how many total spaces there are or digits there are behind the decimal point for both factors, and add that up, and then our final answer is going to have the same amount starting from the right. So in this case, we have 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 total. And then starting from the right, we're going to have 4 total. And that's where we're going to put our decimal point. So it needs to be the same amount. When you're dividing, remember you're going to look at the divisor. And in our divisor, we have 2 digits behind the decimal point. So we're going to move the decimal point to the right. We're going to move it to the right 2 spaces in both our divisor and our dividend. And then we divide. So it's going to be 4,860 divided by 27. 27 goes into it 180 times. And since we have a positive divided by a negative, our answer is going to be negative. So our answer is negative 180. And don't forget, make sure you pause this and make sure you truly understand this. Make sure you're taking good notes and you're reviewing well. There's no rush. Convert mixed numbers into proper fractions. Remember, this is all review. You're going to multiply the bottom 2 here. So 5 times 3, and then you're going to add the numerator. So 15 plus 4, which is 19, and then you're going to keep the denominator. And hopefully you can do this in your head. So you're going to multiply the bottom 2, so 36, and then you're going to add 5 to 36, which is 41. 2 times 7 plus 1, so 15. Keep your denominator. And then 8 times 1, which is 8, plus 3, which is 11. 11 over 8 is your final answer. So just continue to review so you do well on your test. Now we move to fractions. Remember, when you are adding fractions and subtracting fractions, you need a common denominator. So in the first problem here, I need to change to improper fractions first. So we're going to have 5/3 plus a negative 5/2. We're going to find a common denominator using 3 and 2 here. And in this case, it's going to be 6. So we're going to rewrite 5/3 and 5/2 to have 6 as their denominator. So we're going to rewrite them to have 6 as their denominator. in this case, it's 10/6 and 15/6. We're going to be subtracting those because we have opposite signs here. We have different signs. We have a positive and a negative. So we're going to be subtracting. We're going to be subtracting 15/6 minus 10/6, which gives us 5/6. And then we're going to look and see which one of those was bigger. And in this case, the negative 5/2 is bigger than the positive 5/3. So my answer is going to be negative. The absolute value is bigger for the negative here, so our answer is going to be a negative 5/6. Subtraction, make sure you rewrite it. So it's going to be negative 5/6. We'll first change to improper fraction, either one. Then you're going to rewrite it to add the opposite. So we're going to add a positive 15/4. So negative 5/6 plus a 15/4 here. Then we're going to find a common denominator for 6 and 4, and in this case, it's going to be 12. I know I'm going really fast, and that's because you can pause it. So make sure you pause it so you're getting all this. 12. We're going to rewrite the fractions to have 12 as their denominator. So in the first case, we're multiplying both of these by 2. And this one, we're multiplying both of them by 3. Then we look and see if the signs are different or the same. And in this case, we have a negative and a positive, so the signs are different. So we're going to subtract these. Remember, when the signs are different, you subtract. So 45 minus 10, which is 35. And then we look and see which one was bigger, the negative or the positive. And in this case, 15/4 is bigger than 5/6, which is positive. So my answer is going to be positive. So 35/12 or 2 and 11/12. So there's a little bit of review of adding and subtracting fractions. Now we need to make sure we get some practice in on our own. So make sure you practice these without any help. And then make sure you pause these and review your answers. Make sure you get it. So the first one, make sure you pause it. Go ahead and do these problems and then press play when you're ready. All right, so the first one, we're going to change it to improper fractions first. So it's going to be 5/4 times the negative 5/6. Then we're going to multiply across. So it's a negative 25 over 24. And you can change to a mixed number if you'd like. It'll be 1 and 1/24. But remember, it's negative because it's a positive times a negative. Here we have division. And in order for us to do any of our tricks, we're going to multiply the reciprocal. So it's going to be negative 7/8 times, we're going to flip these to be 4 over 1. And then we multiply across and we get 28 over 8. It's going to be a negative times a negative, so our answer is going to be positive. Remember, when you have a negative times a negative, the answer is positive. And then we simplify that down and we get 3 and 4/8, which is equal to 3.5. Here we have 2 and 1/5, so which is 11/5 times negative 8/3. Remember, you rewrite these to be improper fractions. And then you multiply across. In this case, it's 88 over 15. And then simplify if you can. So negative 5 13/15. I like to keep them as improper fractions. Here we need to multiply by the reciprocal. So it's going to be negative 4/5 times negative 6 over 1. Remember, make sure you pause this so you can work them before I go over them. Then you multiply across and we get 24 over 5. It's a negative times a negative. Remember, negative times a negative is a positive answer. So 4 and 4/5. Here we know our answer is going to be negative because we have negative times positive. We also know there's going to be 3 places after the decimal point because there's 1 here and then 2 in this one. 1 plus 2 is 3. There's 3 total spaces after the decimal point. So there's going to be 3 total in our answer. Let's take a look at number 4. And number 4, when you're dividing it, you notice that there's going to be 2 places here. So we're going to need to move the decimal point 2 to make it a whole number. We're doing that so we can make it a whole number, which means in our dividend, we're going to need to move the decimal point to the right 2 spaces. Remember, whatever you do to the divisor, you have to do to the dividend. And then you divide it out, and you should get 138. 138. For this one, in order to do this one, you're going to have to change 1/5 to a decimal first. And 1/5 is a benchmark fraction. 1/5 is 0.2, 2/5 is 0.4, 3/5 is 0.6, and so on. So remember, fifths are just 0.2. So it's going to be negative 2.34 plus 0.2. Now we use our addition rules, and we have a negative plus a positive, which means those are different. So we're going to subtract these. And since this one's bigger, we know our answer is going to be negative when we're done. So 2.34 minus 0.2, which is 2.14. And then our negative, we put our negative back because 2.34 is bigger. So our answer is negative 2.14. For this one, we do the same thing as we did on number 5. We're going to change 1/5 to 0.2. So 0.2, we're going to move it to the right one, our divisor. Remember, you always look at your divisor to figure out how far you want to move the decimal point. In this case, we're going to move it to the right one. We divide it out, and we get 33 9/10. Our answer is positive because we have a negative divided by negative. Remember, negative and a negative, when you're multiplying or dividing, your answer is going to be positive. Number 7, I actually went to buy some ribbon for a craft. The store had 3 42/100 yards of red and 2 3/4 yards of blue. If she needs 7 yards total, how many more yards will she need? So our key word here is how many more. We know we're going to be subtracting somewhere. So we're going to add these two up first to see how much red and blue they have. So she knows where she needs to go to get some more, because if she doesn't have 7 yards, she won't be able to make her craft. So she may have to go to another store. We're going to change 2 3/4 to 2.75 first. So we're going to change that to 2.75 so that we have the same. You can't add this without, unless they're the same. So we're going to change them both to decimals since that's easier. We're going to add those up, and we get 6 17/100. So it looks like we've fallen a little short. So we're going to subtract 7 minus this to figure out how much more we need. Remember, how many more means to subtract. So we're going to subtract 7 minus 6 17/100. And in this case, that gives us 83/100 left. So we're going to have to go to another store to get 83/100 more yards of the ribbon. Number 8, Justin is buying candy for a movie. He has $5 to spend. If he picks up 3 pieces of candy that each cost $1.75, how much money does he still owe? So it looks like he's going to be short some money, most likely. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't be asking this question. If he owes money, then he's not going to have enough money, right? In order to figure out how much, we're going to do 3 times 175. That tells us how much money 3 pieces of candy are. So $5.25. So $5.25 is how much he would need to come up have, and he only has 5, so we're going to subtract those, which means he has 25 cents more than he owes. Or, I mean, in this case, he either needs to come up with a quarter, or he's going to only be able to buy 2 pieces of candy. So 25 cents is how much he owes. And there you have it, guys. Make sure you keep practicing so you can get ready for this test and do a great job on it. Practice makes perfect. Y'all have a great day.